Hello everyone, my name is Cobb and this is Cobbcast. The whole premise, since this is pilot episode, I'm going to explain what this is going to be about for this channel. I'm going to tell you a story every day, or as much as I can, about some kind of experience, something wild, something maybe bad, maybe good. A lot of them are going to be funny stories. And some of them will be shorter, some of them will be longer. The story I'm going to tell you today probably take at least 10 minutes, so keep in tune. I also have a cat sitting on my camera stand, so if the camera moves around a little bit, that's because I have a cat sitting there. I'm sitting on a barrel because, well, the chair is right there, and I didn't feel like dragging the chair over because I already had a barrel right here. Why even bother, right? So, today's story is going to be called The Thorn. I want to give you a little bit of background about why this all happened, and I'm going to try to do that for every video. So the way I'm going to start this is tell you about where I was, who I was with, and why it happened. And it's not a bad story necessarily. It ended up well at the end. Kind of sucked, but that's life, right? So I'm with this friend of mine. She lives about 35 minutes away from me. She has a farm. No animals. She did have some quail for a while. But she doesn't have any animals, but she has a big farm. Well, this gal cannot take care of all of her property by herself. So, she needs help, right? Since I've known her for a while, she hired me to come out and help her. And what that entails is mowing, weed trimming, working on the mowers, working on the tractors, just general farm work, right? Moving stuff around, moving fire pits back and forth. I don't know why that was a thing, but yes, I've moved 3 fire pits. I don't know how to explain it. Anyways, I'm out there trimming while she's gone. And there's quite a bit of fencing. Like I said, it was a farm. And there used to be pigs and stuff, but that was before she started living there, and she just doesn't have any animals except for a dog. But she needed everything trimmed up, and you have to trim along the fence. And it's one of those 2 by 3 inch like chicken wire fences because it spans a long way. You couldn't have a chain link fence with that. For the amount of money that would cost. Either way, the fence was already there. And I'm trimming down it. Trimming through the ditches. I used her four-wheeler. Excuse me. I used her four-wheeler to drive around her property because of the size of it. And there's a strap on this weed eater. Trimmer, whatever you would like to call it. Because the thing is damn heavy. It's one of those 3-blade, steel blade trimmers. And I had the four-wheeler so I could drive it back and forth or to fill gas or whatever. I'm always moving back and forth on the property because there's so much stuff to do. I had my chainsaw out with me because I couldn't trim part of along the fence line because there was a honey locust tree. This is where I'm getting at with the thorn. I take my chainsaw, 18-inch blade. I cut the bottom of this honey locust. I couldn't make it all the way through it without hitting the fence. So, in my bright mind, what I decided to do was to take my foot, and I'm wearing Harley Davidson boots, motorcycle boots. Well, it was not a good idea to kick the tree. I just didn't want to damage the fence by hitting it with the chainsaw. But I kicked the tree. Probably won't be able to see it. There's a hole right here. You might not be able to see it. And then there's a hole right here. I wish I could get better video of it. I will definitely invest in another camera. Well, why it's called the Thorn. When I kicked that tree, it went through the side, part of the bottom, not exactly the bottom of my boot, but it went through the very edge right here. And it went through my foot here to this bone on this toe. If you don't know what a honey locust thorn looks like, this came off of the exact same tree. And I kept this because, well, why not? But this was off of the tree that I cut down. And these things are like nails, and they are very, very sharp. I had one of these go through my foot out of the top of my boot. Well, I called that gal and said, "Hey, I'm gonna go home. I just got hurt." She said, "What happened?" I impaled my foot. She's like, what did you do?" And I was cutting down a tree. And, you know, it was kind of in a bad spot, so it was a honey locust, and when I kicked it, it went through my foot. She made fun of me, of course. I sat there while I was still on the phone with her, and I unlaced my boot, pulled the tongue up, and I could see the thorn coming out of the top of my foot. I'm like, well, I gotta make a decision here. Obviously, I'm not gonna drive home. I'm not gonna get in my truck and drive home with a thorn going through my foot. So, I pulled my foot out of the boot. When that happened, part of the thorn broke off next to the bone on my foot. I don't know what that's called. Metacarpal. I'm not entirely sure what that's called. Yeah, so it broke off right next to the bone. And I dealt with that for about 40 days. Walking with a limp for a good little while. Tried soaking my feet, taking hot showers, used Epsom salt, everything I can to try to get this thing to squish out. I even sliced my foot open, and then I had somebody else slice it open with a scalpel to try to get to this thing, to get it out of my foot. And it didn't happen until I was worked at a truck stop at the time. I'm not even going to bother hanging that up. Worked at a truck stop at the time, and I was soaking wet for about 6 hours. And when I got home, I took those exact same boots off, and I had a couple friends with me. We were having a beer after work. And I was like, I really think that this is going to come out of my foot, because it was abscessed, and there was this big old ring, but it was all white because my foot was so soaked. And I squeezed my foot like this, and that thing shot out. And like I said, it was between the bones. It shot out. And my friend saw the look on my face. He knew the relief I had just had. That was one of the best feelings I've had when it comes to anything that was painful. And I told the gal that I worked for at the farm, I got the thorn out of my foot. And she was so ecstatic, because she knew how much it was bothering me, and it affected my work, because I'm stumbling around trying to walk on the heel of my foot because I couldn't use the ball of my foot because that's where the thorn was. And it all ended up well, and I still work for her. That's basically what Cobcast is going to be. I'm going to tell you a story as much as I can, and that one is called The Thorn.